All right, good morning, everybody. I'm going to be taking over here for Caleb as he has some rotation over his house. So I want to hop in here, make sure he's safe, and he's going to make sure he is safe on his end. But I got you guys covered here for the time being this morning. Current time, bottom right of your screen. I'll get this changed over here to the Indiana side of things. There we go. 7:10 a.m. is going to be your current time. We are live here tracking a couple severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. We have a new one issued here. We'll cover that in just a second. Right now, I'm getting the stream set up. And in about 20 seconds, we'll dive into counties, hazards, and downstream areas to watch. There we go. Pop this out. All right, we should be good to go. Fingers crossed. What's up, Shannon? Good to see you. All right, so these yellow polygons you see on your screen currently are the current severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. The latest one issued is going to be for the cell heading out of the South Bend area. This yellow polygon, 60 mile per hour winds, that's 60 mile per hour winds, 1-inch hail up to quarter size. There's also a tag on this for a possible tornado. Places, South and West Elkhart County, northern parts of Kosciuszko County, northeast Marshall County, western Noble County. This warning goes until 8 o'clock a.m., so 48 more minutes. Napanee, Bremen, Syracuse, Leesburg, North Webster, Warsaw are some of the areas involved within this yellow polygon. The storm currently is coming out of the South Bend area. It is about to enter the Wakarusa area. It is over Wyatt and just exiting Gilmer Park. The second severe thunderstorm warning down here in the Bluffton area. This is where Caleb had to take shelter and kind of make sure he's good down there. We have some rotation with this storm, but it is now currently just east of State Route 1, east of Pinedo, west of Bern. Look at the reds and greens coming together here. Very distinct signature here for some rotation here. If there is anything that is on the ground, I don't think it is currently, but we're looking near the Veracruz area along East 500 South and South 600 East. So that's going to be the general area heading toward Geneva, Bryant, and the Bern area, as well as Lynn Grove. So those of you here in the Adams County, Wells County, and perhaps even far northern Jay County areas, this is going to be a little bit of a concerning look here on the rotational aspect for you guys this morning. So if you are in this yellow polygon, or even down here in Bryant, Geneva areas in Northeast Jay County, I'd be watching the radar here very closely, making sure you don't have to take shelter. Also going to watch a couple areas back further west here, make sure this is legit, near LaFountain. Looks like we have a bit of rotation back here as well by LaFountain to take a close eye on as well. So we'll keep a close eye on this as well. So we have a couple areas here. The rotation, there is a tag on this northern warning here for possible tornado on it, but the rotation with this cell is quite weak that I'm seeing. There is a pocket of perhaps gusty winds over the Wyatt area heading toward Locke, Napanee, Bremen, and Wakarusa area, but the rotation is just, I don't really see that currently up there. Down here further south, though, I think the most concerning aspect, even the latest scan though on this severe warning did broaden out further. The velocity on this, you see those reds and greens coming together. You go 2 scans later, it's kind of, I mean, they're still there, but it's very weak in nature. So overall concern is coming down for this cell here, which is good news. But at very least, gusty winds here moving through just south of Bluffton, heading into Geneva and Bryant there in the Jay County, Wells County, Adam County line area. Outside of this, I'm sure Kale was mentioning this complex here is fairly slow moving. So if you are going to be lucky enough to get in the heart of this cluster of storms, so flash flood risk will also develop just because it's a lot of rain slow moving. So if you are like Wabash, Warren, for example, Peru, Logansport, you guys may end up getting a few inches of rain out of this. And as such, storm drains may also be overloaded. This is round one of the day. How this round affects later is unknown at this point. We have to kind of watch how the storm fuel builds back in behind it, if it does. But this is round one. This is not supposed to be the main show today. Later on this afternoon and evening, we expect another line, may expect another line to develop similar areas and kind of push from northwest to southeast. And that line, if it does reach its full potential, may carry a significant wind gust risk in addition to a tornado spin up risk. So this morning round here, we'll have to kind of see how it affects later on today. Now, it could very well change dynamics of how later on evolves. So keep that in mind. This kind of puts a like a fork in the, or should I say, throws a wrench in the forecast. We are live on both Facebook and YouTube currently. Got about 400 of you guys watching on Facebook and about 50 you guys watching on YouTube. So we're also live on X. Melissa says, absolutely pouring down rain in Bluffton. I can imagine. Bluffton's right in the heart and center of the rain risk. And I'd say Bluffton as well has a good concern for some flash flooding there, just because all this rain moving very slow into the area would be a concern there. So yeah, Bluffton, definitely heavy rain and likely some flooding risk there. The past couple of scans here over the Wabash and LaFountain area have really intensified here. I wouldn't be shocked to get a warning on this just because those brighter reds turning to tan colors. That's 60+ mile/hour wind showing up here on the radar. Now, some of this may be elevated in nature where it's not mixing to the ground fully. So some of that wind may not be actually fully translated to the ground, but in the upper levels, Wabash here to the radar, about 2,000 feet or so from the radar beam up into this part of the storm. So at about 2,000 feet, winds are at severe criteria. Whether or not it's mixing to the ground, it's another story. But regardless, LaFountain, even potentially Marion, Van Buren, Gas City, and Lancaster areas here, I would be prepared potentially for some gusty winds that could be close to severe in nature if those are in fact mixing to the ground. Cassandra asks, I'm an Ossian, going to head up to Fort Wayne. Am I safe to drive? Just take it slow. Obviously, if you're on the highway, don't park underneath overpasses. Obviously, it's going to be heavy rain, so you can't escape the rain. If you got to go up there, you got to go up there, but it's going to be pretty heavy rain for a little while. In terms of severe weather, though, yeah, you're safe to do so. The rotation that was in the Bluffton area has pretty much completely died off here, as this is now entering the Lynn Grove, Geneva area. We'll see if we get a downstream warning here for Northeast Jay County and the rest of Adams County here. We'll see what they do with that. Also going to come back up here to the Napanee area. This cluster, brighter greens kind of fading to darker greens, which means it's weakening in terms of velocity. But regardless of that, I think the hail risk is the main concern here with this storm up here. We did see a nice core as it was entering the Indiana line here. If I back this up, you can see just how maxed out this hail tracker was. It impacted South Bend, so all the way up into the Berrien County, Michigan area, all the way down to Napanee, Indiana. We may have a swath there of some pretty big hail that fell there. So if you guys have hail reports out of the South Bend area, St. Joseph County, Indiana area, that's going to be worth sending to us over quarter size. Feel free to utilize our messenger for that. But otherwise, we are looking for any damage reports aside from the hail as well. Outside that storm to the north, the hail risk with the southern cells don't appear to be as large. You can kind of see, this is your hail tracker. So you can see the purple colors up by the Napanee area. That's where the highest reading of our larger hailstones is. Elsewhere, it's kind of subdued to more just yellow, orange, and perhaps a little bit of red mixed in there, but this is not really sticking out to me as anything significant happening down further south here. So I think the main risk within this line would be heavy rain as well as wind. And there's also a few pockets of embedded rotation kind of mixed within, but right now nothing too concerning. I am still, I think, of the impression that this LaFountain storm, this general area, is on the stronger side, perhaps severe inside. There's no warning in effect, but there is a nice core on that. Could have some hailstones in there as well. But I think wind is going to be the primary concern here as it heads down toward the Marion area, Upland, Warren, Van Buren, Montpelier, and Hartford City areas here shortly. So if you live in that area, I would be inside, away from windows. A lot of lightning out there, probably a lot of loud thunder as well. Main concern with any of these storms this morning is going to be really heavy rain. This is a very large, slow-moving complex. But within this complex is going to be that wind risk as well. A very nice pocket of wind now entering the LaFountain area. Any viewers in the LaFountain area where you see this brighter reds and tans from Warren over to Somerset area? Anybody in chat, let me know what you're seeing if you can do so safely. I'm very curious to see what's going on with this part of the complex. This particular cluster, if I zoom out here, it's moving to the east-southeast, so places further south like Indianapolis, like Crawfordsville, you probably won't be impacted by this. This will probably move to your north, kind of like this, into Ohio. Unless we get more development on the south side of this, I would say down along in South I-70, you guys are okay for now. But again, if it kind of sags further south here, we may kind of see 70 corridor get kind of pressed by some rain, but I think the majority of it's going to head into Ohio. So for those of you asking, further south from Indy and point southward, I would definitely be a little bit less concerned for this first round. Jeremy, you can send us photos to our messenger on Facebook. That is what it's there for. But we cannot see pictures within this live chat. So if you're going to send us pictures or videos, please don't do it here in the live chat. Please do it on a post on our page that's not a live stream, or you can direct message us as well. Pamela says, hail in Mishawaka. There was a, I believe, penny-sized hail report just east of South Bend. Erica says, power briefly went out near Veracruz. I believe it. I believe it. Albion, Indiana, getting some loud thunder and pouring. Jada asks, what about Muncie? So Muncie, I would say in about probably another 45 minutes to an hour, you may have some heavy rain approaching your area here with this line. You can kind of see the movement on this is heading more east, but also kind of sagging south as it moves east. So Muncie area, you may have some pretty hefty storms here in the next hour or two. Getting very loud in Elkhart. Elkhart's actually on the back edge of that cell here, so it won't get too bad. It'll get loud for sure, but the heaviest and the strongest part of that storm is well south of you, moving away from you. So Napanee about to be impacted here. Milford's on deck, Syracuse and Leesburg along the, what road is this? 15 and US 6 corridor. Let's check out the velocity on that one more time to kind of make a final judgment. There is some uptick of the velocities here in the Locke and Napanee area, just south of Wakarusa. Again, this is tagged for tornado possible, but I don't see too much of a concerning rotational aspect of this, but some gusty winds here for sure, potentially as the storm moves through Napanee and surrounding areas. If I turn on the total precipitation, I'm kind of curious here. Yeah, there you go. Look at all this precip, guys. We are getting reports of anywhere from 1 to as much as 3 over here by the Knox area. Hold on. There we go. This is more accurate to this complex here. Last 3 hours. So Winnemac, about 3 inches there. There's a couple pockets here near North Judson that says just over 4 inches. So 1 to 4 inches really have already fallen within this storm complex, and there's quite a bit more rain to go for some of these areas. So keep that in mind. I think the flood risk is definitely the highest concern right now within this complex, followed by the wind threat. Andrea says very bad in LaFountain. Yeah, I was kind of curious about that. I mean, there's a pocket here on radar. Again, with these morning showers, it's kind of hard to depict if that wind is actually going to mix down on the ground, because there's sometimes, and it is the case this morning, a bit of a capping inversion in place that may hold that wind above the surface, so it may not fully mix. So I'm kind of curious what's going on exactly. There's no warning on this, but here on radar, these winds are actually 70 miles per hour here in this tan zone in some areas along just east of LaFountain, along Bruner Road, south of Mount Etna, heading into Landis, Van Buren, about to cross 69 here, close to Warren, as well as Marion areas. So, again, I'm very curious to see and kind of hear what you guys are experiencing within this pocket of brighter reds and tan colors. We were tracking some rotation back here near the Bluffton area for a few scans. Watch those reds and greens, though, as they kind of moved just south of Bluffton. It was there for about 2, maybe 3 scans, and then latest couple scans here, it's turned into just more of a red look, so to speak. I don't see anything here that warrants concern further for rotation. So for the time being, just a gusty wind threat as well as a heavy rain threat there in Wells, Adams, and Jay County, general Triple Point County line area. Fort Wayne, if you're up there watching what warnings happen up there, it's just a lot of heavy rain up there for you guys. Not too much going on there. I don't see too much in the way of wind. There's no rotation, but it is back building and likely impacting you guys with some heavier rainfall in the Fort Wayne metro. So we're kind of winding down in a way. I think the highest concern that I see personally on radar, aside from the northern storm heading into Napanee up there, I think is the LaFountain area. Again, there's no warning on it. So very curious. Jessica says, LaFountain here is pouring down rain, lightning. Jessica, any wind that you're going to get that you see with that? Do we need to shelter in Wells County? The answer would be it's always good to shelter inside and away from windows when you are under a severe warning. Now, the good news is there's no rotation with this storm that I'm seeing, so I wouldn't say you need to go down to your basement immediately. But during severe weather with hail and wind as your primary concern, it's always the best idea to shelter interior room on the I would say lowest floor of your house, but it's not an immediate go to your basement type of situation. With wind, if you have trees around your house that may fall, at that point it's a good idea to go to your basement, just because you don't want to be on your main floor or second floor if a tree were to fall in your house. But there's no like immediate destruction, so to speak, threat with this. Ken says it's getting dark in Muncie. You got a little bit of ways to go before you get to the storms here. You're about a county or two away. Jake says Van Buren getting strong wind, good hard rain. So I believe that Van Buren's basically right in the heart of that pocket of gusty winds here. So I believe every bit of that. Jessica says pretty windy for a few, but the wind has died down. Thank you, Jessica, for that. Cody says has calmed down in Churubusco. Is that wind going to hit Warren? The answer would be, if it is mixing to the ground, the worst of it would be just passing over Warren right now. So if you're not getting wind in Warren, it's a good thing. The worst on radar, at least, is shown to be basically over or just passing you. I'm going to pop open the power outage map here as well to keep a close eye to see if we have any outages coming in out of the Wabash, Huntington, or Grant County area. The answer would be, well, it's a bit difficult because I'm just now looking at this. I don't know if these are previous or if they're new. But Huntington County has 200 customers out. Wabash has 144 out. Miami County has 1. Cass County has 79. Grant and Howard County has 0 for the time being. We'll see if those numbers begin to increase as these storms move in. For the time being, though, no major large outages being reported. I believe we have Caleb back here. We'll get him pulled in here just a second. There you go. You should be able to hear me and see my screen now, Caleb. Perfect. All right. Welcome back, Caleb, into the stream, everybody. There we go. Looks like we're kind of winding down here for the most part here. I'm watching these winds. In fact, there's your new warning coming in. We've been watching this for the past like 10 minutes with no warning on it. The winds out of the LaFountain, Marion area, Warren area, have had my eye for the past, like I said, 10 minutes or so. They're finally going to warn this 60-mile-per-hour winds, 1-inch hail for a large area here from Swayze to Marion to Warren down to Montpelier, Pennville, Hartford City, Matthews, Fairmount, Gas City, Upland, and Point Isabel. Several counties involved with this. This is going to be in effect for, let's go ahead and read this off actually. Grant County, Southern Huntington County, Blackford County, Southern and Southwestern Wells County, and Northwestern Jay County. This is going to go until 8:15 a.m. Your hazardous radar indicated for wind up to 60 miles per hour and hail up to the size of a quarter or 1 inch in diameter. So I think the main concern here, the brighter reds and tan colors are going to be where your gustiest of winds are going to be. Moving into the east-southeast at the text of the warning here says moving at 20 miles per hour. So in addition to that wind and hail concern, the flooding risk, I think, really is a bigger concern on a more scattered to widespread basis because there is just so much rain with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rainfall rates right now, according to my measurement at my house, are at 2 inches an hour.
I got you. You're good to go.
All right, there we go. I heard like 5 of me right there. If you guys did, I apologize. I know hearing 1 of me is enough sometimes. But according to the measurement at my house, I'm in Wells County currently. It's 2 inches per hour, a little over 2 inches per hour currently. So torrential rainfall is ongoing. But not surprised to see that warning get issued, as Ryan mentioned before, for the Marion, Hartford City area, Grant, Blackford, Southwestern Wells, kind of the boot, Jackson Township. Do watch out for that. If you're in Southern Huntington County, Warren and South, a decent core on that as well. There could be some small hail within here as well. It's currently warned for up to quarter-size hail. If you look at our hail tracker there, this is called VIL, vertically integrated liquid. The brighter the colors, the more concentrated the colors, the stronger the updraft. For quarters and larger, really like to see a lot of purples in there. But we see a lot of yellows and reds. But don't let that fool you. Yesterday, we had some large hailstones fall when VIL did not look impressive. So there could be some quarters coming down, mainly in the areas where you see the darker yellows, oranges, and even a little bit of red in there. That's going to be the area to watch. Right now, the area of strongest winds appears to be on a stretch from Marion to Warren and Point South. 218 down to 26. Here's just
Hey, Caleb, you are a robot.
Go ahead, Ryan.
If you can hear me, you are a robot. I think you're getting interference here with this. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I may hop out here. The cloud tops are interfering with the Starlink here, so
yeah, that's fine. If you need to take 5 or 10 minutes, that's fine. I got this. So Caleb is on Starlink. When he has these big cloud tops over him, he kind of loses signal here and there. So I'll just go ahead and take over for the next 5 or 10 minutes while these storms pass over his house and kind of give him a better idea. I think you're good now, actually. You seem pretty clear, crystal clear, but for the time being, it might be spotty for the time being. But otherwise, if you are on the west side of this line, over here by like Peru, Logansport, Winnemac area, It is loud for you guys, a lot of heavy rain. The good news over here is that it should just be a heavy rain risk. I don't see anything here on the wind aspect that really catches my eye. So I think just a lot of rain, a lot of lightning and thunder. I don't see any rotation. I don't see any wind over here. Just some rain and some loud boomers to start your morning. The warning up here in Napanee area, I want to go back to and kind of circle back. There's a hook on this actually. This is a warning that does include the tag on it for a possible tornado. But the velocity on this just does not impress me at all for anything. We want to see those brighter greens next to brighter reds holding hands coming together. I don't see any of that with this particular storm. So I would just be inclined to say this is just strictly a gusty wind and a hail risk. Look at the tail tracker on this. It's actually come down quite a bit from what it actually was. If I kind of back this up here, you're going to see back here coming out of South Bend, that was a maxed out hail core as that moved from South Bend into Wakarusa. As it moved closer to the radar site here, the hail just kind of went bloop, it's gone. So perhaps just at this point, a gusty wind risk here heading toward North Webster and Leesburg here on the northern half of Indiana. This is going to be in the Kosciuszko County area and southern Elkhart area. Primarily, though, Kosciuszko.
And Ryan, I want to draw your attention to the velocity the southeast of Warren in kind of the boot of Wells County coming into Hartford City. Very strong winds aloft here with this storm starting to develop here.
Yeah, these are winds that are reaching 75 miles per hour.
Yeah, 62 dBz on reflectivity, where that stronger wind is located there on velocity. So pretty intense core there.
Yeah, the strongest pixel I got is about 74 miles per hour just west of Keystone heading into Mount Peliers. So I'm keeping a very close eye, Caleb, as well as the power outages in this area.
Yeah, and some of these winds are reaching the ground. Wells County Emergency Management reported a measured 63 miles per hour gust at 7:10 a.m. just south of Bluffton. So some of these winds are mixing their way down to the ground.
And that makes sense too. We had a report in chat a few minutes ago that power was out on the north side of Bluffton. So I see Wells County is reporting a total of 67 customers out. I'm watching very closely here in Grant County. There's currently 0 outages reported. But if you missed it, Wabash County has 144 customers. Huntington has 203 customers. Miami has 1. Cass has 79. So this line does have a history of producing small localized outages. I'm watching Grant County the closest just because the storm is moving into Grant County, as well as Blackford County here in the Hartford City and Marion areas. This is where we're going to focus our attention. If these winds are actually mixing to the ground here, we're going to start seeing outages start to spike. If you're north of this line, I have a lot of questions for like the Elkhart, Mishawaka area, South Bend in general. If you are north of this line and you're not in the path of this little cluster here, for the time being, you are A-OK in terms of the radar. This line is moving to the east-southeast into Ohio. Obviously, you have this one storm here heading toward the North Webster area. But South Bend, you are clear. Michigan City, you are clear. Angola, you're clear. Anywhere between or outside behind this area, you are absolutely okay and clear for the time being. More storms possible later on today. A bit uncertain how that all evolves. Also, I see we have a report coming out of South Bend here, Caleb, of more hailstone. This is reported on the west side of South Bend. $half size hail report at 655. Just to the west and to the north of downtown South Bend. So there's our first.
Yeah, that would be an inch and a half
report.
diameter there.
Yep. So that's our first severe confirmation of hail out of that storm. But luckily, the storm that produced that looks to have weakened significantly versus what it was about a half hour ago. So that's the great news with this. But still, severe warning continues. They did drop the tag on this for a tornado possible. So it's just now 60 mile per hour winds and 1-inch hail. This storm in general seems to be on the downtrend here as it moves closer to North Webster. It will move eventually into the Columbia City and South Whitley area here in Whitley County and also western Noble County.
Yeah, this may go considerable coming into Grant County and Blackford County. Those 70 mile an hour winds are still hanging on aloft. I don't know how much of those are mixing their way down to the ground, but they match up with a really nice core of 58 to 64 dBz.
Yeah, I'll pull up the hazard map here as well to keep an eye on observations, see if anything pops in.
Just kind of waiting on some ops reports there from southern Wells County, northwestern Blackford County. If you're in Hartford City, heads up, could have some pretty strong winds coming your way. as well as the Roll, Indiana getting impacted now on deck. Montpelier should be, you're getting torrential rain right now, but probably on deck for the winds here, really any moment. Pennville as well on deck and
So
along US or State Road 26.
I do have some observations that have come in this morning so far near Jalapa, LaFountain, as well as Amboy near Converse. This is just west of the strongest winds, like over here. Um, 28, 22, 35, and 27 mile per hour wind gusts reported out of those areas. So it appears, at least I'm gonna circle on your screen, this area over here is not severe and has not been severe this morning. Although the strongest winds you can easily see are still over here displaced. I don't have any reports yet out of those areas. This pen tool on this map is driving me nuts. I forget to turn it off every time I change my screens.
You know, it's not just you, man. I did that a couple times already this morning. It's
They
like,
make
nope,
it
I don't
easier.
want that, but it's there anyway. All right.
It should be just a one button push. That's all it needs to be. But anyway,
Right.
we also
right.
have more hail reports out of South Bend, another inch and a quarter, inch and a half in nickel size, all out of South Bend. So that does have a history in St. Joseph County of producing hail. But as I mentioned, for the time being, I think this is a downtrending storm as it moves toward North Webster. Back
I
to our
would
main
agree up there. I
concern.
think the bigger story is going to be this complex kind of
Yeah.
developing here.
Yeah.
From Howard County, Tipton, or Miami County, Peru, Kokomo, over to the Grant, Blackford, and even Southern Wells County, Jay County. Wouldn't be shocked to see that warning get extended. We'll just have to see for the Portland area. Right now, strongest winds off to your west. But we're gonna have to watch the Muncie area pretty close too as these storms go to the south and southeast, even Winchester, Indiana, if this line holds together. Current movement is moving off to the south and southeast. At 20 miles per hour. So a pretty slow mover as well, but that's also going to increase the flood risk with these storms as well. Again, rainfall rates of torrential rainfall of 2 inches per hour in the core ongoing. So if you're on your way to work here this morning, if you come across any low areas, viaducts, take with caution. Do watch out for those low-lying areas that are prone to flooding and ponding.
New warning coming in for the downstream areas. I believe that's IND's warning
go.
area. There's Muncie, Alexandria, Winchester areas. This is going to be 60 mile per hour winds. Did not go considerable on this. And this is IND's warning area. So this is issued by Indianapolis. It says, I'll go ahead and read this off for you guys. At 7:41, sorry, back this up. At 7:40, a severe storm located along a line extending from near Montpelier to near Fairmount, moving southeast at 45 miles. That might be generous, Caleb. 45 miles per hour might be generous on that.
I think that's a little generous there. I think we're closer to maybe 30, but 35. It could be picking up speed, but it's moving at a snail's pace at the moment.
So with that said, this continues. Hazard is only 60 mile per hour winds. The source is only radar indicated. So we're watching observation maps here out of this area, Montpelier, Hartford City. For anything severe wise, there is a station, Caleb, reporting Montpelier 24 mile per hour gusts. I'm gonna see if that's recent or if that's old. So give me 1 second, pull this up.
Okay. If that's
There's your
recent,
new-
Montpelier is on the north side of the gust route right now. The
There's
worst
your
of it
new
is just
warning for
south of
Adams and J extension there for you.
Yeah, that would include the Bryant area, Portland, Indiana, under a severe thunderstorm warning now, kind of filling in that void there.
Yeah, so here's the latest gust. Okay, the latest gust I have is 7:02 a.m. So this is not recent at all. So that's not a recent gust there in Hartford City, or sorry, should I say near Montpelier? I'll check back in here if it does update. In the time being, I see a 35 mile per hour gust out of Gas City. But we are lacking any data here that really suggests this is close to severe. But the radar, though, as it continues to move away from the radar, we're going to see this pocket here still increase. Last I checked on my observation tool I have, my inspector tool, if we zoom into this brighter pixel, this is now showing 83 miles per hour. New update there, 82, near Hartford City. Now, again, this may not all be mixed into the ground here. but this pocket is very, very intense as this moves to the east southeast here. So if you're downstream Eaton, Royerton, Albany, Greene, Ridgeville, Muncie, Selma, and Winchester, let's hope it's not mixing into the ground here, but we got to treat it as it is, just because it's a nice, healthy
Yeah, switching
pocket.
radars to Indianapolis, it doesn't show as intense velocity. Switching radars to IND, we're kind of in between radars down here, getting further away from northern Indiana, getting closer to Indianapolis. Um, but Indianapolis does not show quite as strong velocity there. And Indianapolis's radar is also looking directly into the storm versus passing through some rain too. So
Fair enough. Looking at the beam height, looks like IWX is still a little bit lower, about
a little bit here.
4,500. Indianapolis about 5,500. So, I mean, that's a good point, though. It's not looking in a bunch of rain with this. So, looking at the Indianapolis radar, we can take a look at that quickly here. Switching to our other radar, you can kind of see it still has a a little bit of a pocket here. You can tell of like a gust front, but yeah, definitely not as strong here. Another 1,000 feet in the atmosphere, so it may not actually be mixing out of the ground here. Also, want to keep a close eye here, Caleb, on the Portland area. Watching
Yeah,
that as
a little
this
bit of
line
a shear line there.
yeah, as it progresses south here, there sometimes, in some cases, can kind of be a little bit of some spin there. I don't see it too much of a concern, but there are some greens and reds trying to mix in there. Keep a close eye on it. Not
Yep.
overly concerned, but something to keep a close eye on by the Portland area as that heads into Ohio. So Fort
Can
Recovery,
confirm it
Rossburg,
can
Young
happen.
City. Yeah, yeah, yes, it can. So with that said, kind of going and kind of like resetting ourselves here. The cell up in North Webster is completely over the radar now. In fact, look at the North Webster radar, see if they're reporting anything. 36-mile-per-hour winds there, actually. So decent gusts up here in North Webster, but nothing crazy that would indicate anything to be concerned about there. The warning continues for 13 more minutes. It's about to move out of the warning into the Columbia City area of Whitley County. We'll see if they issue a downstream warning, but current time with a weakening trend there, I don't know if they're going to do that or not. Further to the west, from Roselawn down toward Rensselaer, over toward Winnemac, Rochester, Logansport, Kokomo, and Peru, Wabash area, a lot, and I mean, and on underscore and highlight and capitalize the word, a lot of rain is falling here in this area. Also, a potential risk there for flooding, but probably a pretty loud morning for you guys too. A lot of loud thunder out there. Pretty typical with morning storms like this. But
Yep.
luckily, no severe weather expected, or not expected, no severe weather occurring right now. I would say no severe expected unless one of these storms kind of does the exact same thing this one does and starts to look a little bit more gusty. But right now, the velocity, the wind on this doesn't look impressive. So for the time being, just heavy rain and some thunder risk further west. If you're not in this yellow box here, you're pretty much okay for the time being. I want to check that Portland area again. That green and red coming together a little bit better on the latest scan
Yeah,
there,
kind of
Caleb.
just on the northwest side of Portland, between Portland and Bryan along US 27, kind of has my eye. A little bit of a hook there, but something to note. I had a wall cloud come directly overhead in Wells County a little bit ago, and it was relatively elevated in nature. Um, Not saying that's the same case here, but something to just keep in mind. I don't want to downplay anything either.
Right. We'll have to keep an eye on it. It can happen, but I think the environment this morning is more so primed for the wind and hail side of things than tornadoes. Later on today, we may see that change, but kind of going and segueing into that, though, how this morning complex affects the atmosphere throughout the day is going to be important because this could shift our risk areas as well as kind of overturn our atmosphere. It's early on in the day. We don't know exactly how it's going to evolve, but for the time being, we may see a little bit of a change with our forecast for later on today because these morning storms may throw a wrench in things, but I think it's too early to say for sure just yet. Right around noon or so, we should have a better idea. Just after that, we should have a better idea of what's going to happen later on today. But I do want to reiterate this is only round one, potentially a more significant round possible later on today. In fact, if I turn it over really quickly here, Caleb, I want to just kind of go over the SPC
Yeah.
outlook very quick. There's actually a level 3 enhanced risk in effect today for a wide area of our state here in Indiana. The orange zone is your highest concern from Chicago down to South Bend, down to Fort Wayne, all the way south to Cincinnati, all the way to Louisville, Seymour, Indiana, Bloomington, Terre Haute. But outside of that, if you are in Indiana today, you technically have a severe risk. There's not one single person in the state today that escapes any severe risk. Even down to Evansville, to Angola, to Gary, down to Louisville.
Yep.
You guys all are at a risk today. Primary concern, though, damaging wind. We do anticipate a line developing somewhere over here in Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin. They're going to form and push into a healthy, what should be a healthy squall line, and what it's expected to be in this orange zone as our highest concern for damaging wind, and perhaps a brief tornado or a couple of those this evening. So we'll see how this first round affects that second round. Right now, we just don't know for sure. But once we do have a better handle on things, we'll push updates out if need be.
Yep.
Looking back at the observation
Tornado
map,
possible tag now for Jay County, Indiana, for our Portland cell.
yeah, not surprising there. Let's check out our debris tracker just to do our due diligence on this. I don't see anything showing up there. We'll keep a close eye on that. But if there's going to be anything that's going to rotate or touch down, it's going to be between Bryant and Portland, heading toward Noble and so. How do you say this, Caleb?
Salomonia.
Okay. Eventually, this is going to move into Ohio. It's going to be moving into Mercer and Darke County, Ohio. So Coldwater, Salina, Fort Recovery, and Rossburg, as well as Chickasaw and Osgood for our friends and neighbors to the east in Ohio. This is heading your direction. For the time being, though, this is going to be over east or this is confusing. There's a west 300 north and an east 300 north in the exact same spot. So it's going to be in the 300 north area, just north of Portland, heading toward Noble, as well. A couple other areas here: east 200 north, east 100 north, north 200 east, east 400 north. And this is why I don't like Indiana, Caleb. all these numbers and directions confuse me.
See, that's where you and I are different. I love these numbers. It's a grid system. You know exactly where you're at based on meridian. It's great. See, I go into Michigan, I'm lost. I go into Mercer County, Ohio. You go from Purdy Road to Tillman Road. I was like, I don't know where the heck I'm at. But grid systems are awesome. Once you know them, they're great.
I would just say there's Main Street, there's First Street, there's
Elm that's great if you're in town, but if you're like in the country and you have like square and half mile grids, it's great. So easy.
I'm just saying.
Like if you're on 500 east, you're 5 miles east of Meridian. See, it's great. See, so easy. Ryan's like, you're full of crap, Caleb.
Yeah,
all right.
Exactly.
Anyway, back to the.
We have some wind gust reports coming in now on the observation map. Huntington gusted to 29, Marion 35, and Bunker Hill 39. So still not seeing anything mixed into the ground here that's standing out to us.
Yeah, a little bit more of a shear line there, but.
Power outages, Grant County 0, Blackford County 0. So it looks like a lot of this wind is probably not mixing to the ground. But as Caleb mentioned, though, I think there's still potential as it moves to the south here. This big pocket of what we're seeing, tan, yellowish color, brighter reds. This is going to be our concern area for any gusty winds in this wide area here. So still treat it as potentially gusty winds, but we have no confirmation it's actually producing power outages or taking down trees or power lines. It doesn't look to be that strong. So we don't know that for sure. We're not there on the ground, but observations say it may not be fully mixing to the ground here. Also keeping a very close eye between Bryant and Portland. The good news, I'm going to say, if we're not seeing this wind mix to the ground, the odds this is going to be tornadic in nature are lower because that probably won't plant itself down if it does try to put down. But still, it is now tornado possible tagged on this in Jay County. In the Portland and Bryant areas. So we'll have to watch that as it moves into the Mercer County, Ohio area. Josh in chat here says tornado sirens going off in Portland. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing at all. I don't know how Jay County has their sirens set up, but if they're blowing the sirens, it's definitely not a bad thing because there is technically a rotation just north of town. Excuse me. So
yeah, kind of right along 27. There's some embedded pockets here. This is more of what we call kind of a shear line where you have winds going eastbound next to winds kind of running parallel to each other. A little bit of a boundary there on the leading edge. And sometimes you can get embedded circulations along that. Sometimes these shear lines can look a little more distorted on radar, hard to exactly pick out. But if there were a couple of areas of rotation, one would be near Portland, just north or along US or State Road 26, and another one near State Road 300 North. Kind of two little areas there, a little couple little notches. Ryan circling those for you there. Those are kind of the areas that kind of pick out in my mind there, just along the leading edge. They're weak circulations, nothing that really significantly stands out. But sometimes you can get brief spin ups that quickly spin up or briefly touch down along the leading edge there. I don't see anything on our debris tracker here behind the scenes, which is good. But sometimes in a weaker or a brief tornado, sometimes you won't see anything pick up on debris tracker either. So that's something to note there as well. All counties have different criteria for storm sirens. I like to use the term storm sirens over tornado sirens, as some counties will warn them for severe thunderstorm warnings, and some will solely use them for tornado warnings. But their purpose is to warn those who are outdoors to seek shelter or find shelter indoors, why we call them storm sirens. Each county has their different criteria for it, but not a bad thing that they're sounding them there in Jay County. I don't know if they're an all siren county or location by location, but not surprised to hear that. Not a bad thing at all.
Caleb, I had some pictures going up on the page here shortly. If you want to keep on talking, unless you want.
Okay, so yeah, if you want to take my radar full, it should be ready to pull up there.
It is not.
It is not? Okay, stand by.
Yep, you good. Got an intense picture, or not intense, but a cool picture coming out of the Southern Marion area of a big shelf cloud, very mean looking shelf cloud here. So shelf clouds, for those who don't know, are very long, scuddy looking clouds. They can form
There, you should
along
be
the
good there,
leading
right?
edge of thunderstorms caused by rain-cooled air getting forced up and out. It condenses. I'll just guys see it on the page here shortly. But thank you to Allie for messaging us that picture. I'll be on the page here shortly.
Yeah, and going back to our rotation there in Jay County, let me go ahead and take one screen back here just with our winds, our velocity here on this. This area kind of right in here has my eye a little bit. You see a little bit of a notch there, a little bit of a protrusion there between Portland and Salomonia on State Road 26. This area right in here is kind of an area to watch for some, perhaps a brief spin up tornado right in here. Nothing on our debris tracker at the moment, which is good. And there's our tornado warning for Jay County. We were just talking about that. There we go.
Interesting.
Look at that.
Not
National Weather
surprised.
Service, go ahead. I'm not surprised either. Definitely on the side of caution there, and they're issuing both notches here. Man, the lightning is crazy. Sorry, rabbit trail there. Tornado warning. This is just for Jay County, Indiana. It does not include Mercer County, Ohio. But we are in a radar indicated tornado warning. Does include Portland. Does not quite include Salomonia, but it does include Bryant to Portland and points east, Noble, State Road 26 and 67. If I take our drawing tool here, I kind of show you the circulation here, right in here, and maybe a little notch right in here. These two areas are what we're currently keeping an eye on for the potential for a brief spin up tornado in Jay County, Indiana. These would be the areas of rotation where you see a little bit of those reds and greens trying to hold hands along the leading edge. And this has kind of been the story over the last several minutes here in Jay County. And for the kind of the history of this line, also doing the same thing in Wells County earlier with that tornado possible tag around 7:08 this morning. Let me go ahead and get my drawing tool off of here. There we go. Oh, I still have it. I did the same thing Ryan did just a few minutes ago. All right. And we're going to go ahead and take our debris tracker on just to keep an eye on this here. Rotation, well, it's still hanging on there. Some broad rotation there. Let's go ahead and turn on our debris tracker here. I don't see anything on our debris tracker, which is some good news. A little bit of clutter there that could be along the gust front there, along the leading edge, but nothing that I see indicates that we have a tornado on the ground. But with these brief spin-ups, we may not, see any debris on our debris tracker if these do briefly touch down. So do be in an interior room away from windows until the storm has passed. Area of rotation right now appears to be directly east of Portland along and south of 26. And there's also a little bit of rotation near Noble, but that has broadened out just a little bit more eye-popping near the Salomonia area and Portland, kind of on the southern end of our tornado warning here. You can see a little bit of a notch here, a little bit of an inflow notch. where you have a little bit of a gust front here trying to develop coming into Salomonia. Sometimes you can get a little bit of speed shear where you have some faster winds to the south meeting some slower winds to the north, and they can kind of back in on each other and create a little bit of spin near the surface. So that's kind of what we're keeping an eye on there along in south of 26. And a large gust front now, and Lynn will probably be in a severe thunderstorm warning eventually. But the National Weather Service in Wilmington issuing a large blanket warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny-size hail. Kind of a large bow echo trying to take shape here in east central Indiana. But this is a radar indicated tornado warning for Jay County. I'm watching some broad rotation near the Portland, Indiana area. This is along 26, south of 18. Near US 27 and 26 near Salomonia, east of Portland. So the rotation is east of Portland. If you're in Portland, Indiana, likely going to get some gusty winds still ongoing for the next few minutes here. Torrential rainfall, lightning will continue for some time, but this will be heading towards Fort Recovery. There's also maybe a little bit of a notch near Noble, and this would be embedded in rain too. So don't look to spot any of these tornadoes. Do be in an interior room away from windows. Some torrential rainfall is also occurring with these storms. Rainfall rates up to 2 inches per hour. And this rotation is still a little bit broad in nature, but playing this back here a little bit, you can actually just kind of see it, how it's more of a right-moving storm here. And you can actually see how some of these showers move north into it. So there is kind of a broad mesocyclone there along the leading edge and some elevated rotation there, but a little bit of low-level rotation trying to take shape there just to the east and southeast of Portland, Indiana, coming towards Fort Recovery. This will move into Mercer County, Ohio. So if you're in St. Henry, New Weston, Fort Recovery, State Road 49 here in west central Ohio, do be on the lookout for this storm as it moves into your area as well. Darke County, perhaps. We'll have to keep an eye on that there in west central Ohio. Rain slowly coming to an end if you're in the northern Wells County, Fort Wayne area. Still a little bit of lightning here in this heavy rain that is occurring on the backside of this complex that is moving through here this morning. If you're to the west, if you're in Miami County, even Pulaski County getting in on some training showers and thunderstorms. These are currently not severe at the moment, but we do have some quite a bit of lightning and some heavy rain still ongoing for those areas there. Tornado warning continuing for Jay County, Indiana. This is radar indicated, a little bit of rotation kind of sitting right in here near Salomonia in Portland, kind of right between the two. And there's also a little bit of a couplet near Noble as well, right on the leading edge. Turning on our debris tracker here to make sure we don't have anything on the ground for good conscience. I don't see anything that indicates that we have anything on the ground, which is good. Just a little bit of clutter here. But we may not see much in the way of debris if we do have like any of these brief spin ups. Sometimes you can have a brief tornado touchdown without seeing a debris signature on radar. But nice pocket of some winds there, at least just to the north of Salomonia there on State Road 26 near Noble. So possible tornado as well as straight line winds up to 60 miles per hour. And some quarter-size hail can't be ruled out either. And there's our severe thunderstorm warning for the Winchester and Lynn, Indiana. Under a severe thunderstorm warning, 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail for all of these warnings still in effect. Turning on our hail tracker here. There's your hail core right in here. So the largest hail core right now near Hartford City. Nice pocket of some decent VIL there coming across State Road 3, right where you see kind of the magenta colors, kind of the purple colors. That's where we're looking at some hail, potentially up to quarter size, as well in Jay County between Bryant and Portland, coming to just to the north of Salomonia or perhaps into Salomonia. This area here where you see on the right side of your screen, the deeper reds and even the little bit of pink starting to show up. That's where your stronger updrafts are associated with these thunderstorms. That's where your hail core is most likely to be, and where you're most likely to see some of those hailstones falling down to the ground, perhaps up to quarter size. Coming back to reflectivity here, really juicy thunderstorm as it's moving into Mercer County and Darke County, Ohio. See a big bow echo kind of starting to develop here within these storms. And they are picking up speed just a little bit, Ryan, as they're starting to become a little more organized and move south. They are picking up speed just a little bit. Current forward motion on our severe thunderstorm warning is moving south at 40 miles per hour, 60-mile-per-hour winds, as well as embedded pockets of quarter-size hail, and just an incredible amount of lightning within these storms too. We may see flood advisories extended further south as well. Torrential rainfall is occurring with these storms up to 2 inches per hour. And in fact, let me go ahead and turn something on here for you to show you how much rain we've gotten. We've got a storm total accumulation. This is slowly catching up here, but areas in orange and red, that's 2 to 3 inches of rain. Areas in yellow, 1.5 to 2 inches. So these rainfall rates are very heavy, and this batch of heavy rain is slowly moving south. And even up here where we have some of these magenta colors, some of this does carry over from yesterday. Rainfall rates of 3 to 5 inches here in southern Knox County, northern Pulaski County. So very heavy rainfall occurring within these storms. Currently, radar indicated tornado warning remains in effect for Jay County, Indiana. Area of broad rotation was located near Salomonia, just north of Salomonia, heading towards the Fort Recovery area. If we turn on velocity now, just to look at our winds, not seeing a significant amount of rotation, more of a gust front here, more of a bow echo. In fact, I can draw it out here for you. You can really get a good visual here of kind of what a bow echo looks like. See how it has a bowed front to it, an apex nature to it, with these strong winds moving kind of in this direction here. This is kind of what we're looking at here. Straight line winds up to 60 miles per hour. Although I haven't seen a lot of new storm reports coming in there, Ryan.
I do actually have one or two here coming in
Oh, do
out
you?
of Upland, Indiana. We actually have a viewer report in chat here. His name is Caleb, sending in a picture of a trampoline that got lifted and thrown into a house. It's now in their wall near Upland, Indiana. So that's going to be just west of Hartford City, southeast of Marion. So the wind was strong enough to at least push a trampoline through a wall. So that's our first report that I see out of the areas of some wind. So thank you, Caleb, for sending that to us. Appreciate you. That'll be on the page here shortly. There's also a few other review reports coming into our chat here. Some hail up by South Bend, but also overall a lot of shelf cloud pictures coming in. A very mean looking storm front as this rolls through. So it's going to look mean as it comes towards you if you're out ahead of this.
A lot of moisture ahead of it too. This is kind of brings into a really good point there, Ryan. A lot of scud clouds associated with this probably too. So be very careful when looking at those, as they are the number one misidentified cloud for a funnel cloud.
Yep.
If it's underneath a shelf cloud, a wall, stare at it, look at it. Chances are it's just going to dangle there like little fingers as it rises into it. But chances are it's probably not a funnel cloud, probably just a scud cloud along the leading edge of our shelf cloud. I don't see a lot of rotation here on the south side of this line here. We do have a tornado warning in Jay County, kind of on the northeast side of the line, but that rotation has really broadened it out. It's more of a straight line wind risk at the moment, stretching from Muncie to Winchester to Fort Recovery, Ohio. But a really low shelf cloud thanks to our really low cloud bases and just an incredible amount of moisture that we have in the air here this morning. Really making a really good environment for that shelf cloud development.
Outside of that, Caleb, just a quick
And we
note
also
on-
have a funnel cloud report from emergency manager near Portland, Indiana, from 7:55. That was just published. So perhaps had a brief funnel cloud near Portland, Indiana, from emergency management.
our back end tool that we use on our app coming out soon called IWN Pro. The storm risk on this current tornado warning is a 23% chance of something tornadic happening. Overall chance of severity is 67%. So pretty good chance the storm is producing something severe here as it pushes into Ohio.
Yeah, an area of rotation right now appears to be kind of on the Indiana-Ohio line, kind of on the southern end of our box near Fort Recovery, or perhaps just to the south of Fort Recovery, kind of looking right in here near coming up to 49 and 705 in Ohio. Kind of on the Mercer-Darke County line is where we're at here. So that area of rotation is moving out of Indiana and into Ohio, leaving primarily a straight line wind risk. Winds will be picking up into Winchester, Indiana, right about now, as well as Muncie and Union City on deck for those straight line winds up to 60 miles per hour, as well as a chance for embedded pockets of quarter-size hail. Storms are currently moving south-southeast at about 40 miles per hour. Also, east of Bluffton on State Road 116 between Veracruz and Bluffton, State Road 116 is shut down at the moment as a tree is completely across the road via emergency management. That was about 20 minutes ago. Hopefully, they have that back open now. Um, that was posted on their social media page by the Wells County Sheriff's Office. A tree across the road right before you get to State Road 450, kind of right on the curve of 116. There's a tree across the road there, and it is shut down as they clean that up. So do watch out across the area for any tree damage, but also flooding that may occur as well. These storms are still moving along at about 40 miles per hour, moving off to the south southeast. Straight line winds is going to be the primary hazard here. That area of rotation has moved out of Indiana now and is currently in Darke County, Ohio, coming near the Ausonia area, uh, south of Fort Recovery near the New Weston area and Rossburg, Ohio, State Road 49 and 705 in Darke County, Ohio. So that is some good news there. That is moving out of Indiana. And these storms will eventually move into Ohio probably over the next hour or so as they continue moving east southeast at 40 miles per hour. The worst of the line is currently right in this area here. This is the portion here of greatest concern. This area here to the west has a little bit of a couple different properties with it, more of a flash flood risk here. Your greatest damaging wind risk is going to be with this portion here, moving from Winchester, Indiana, up to Portland, Indiana, or just east of Portland, moving into Ohio, and a little bit more back building going on near the Tipton and Alexandria areas. More of a flood risk with some isolated damaging wind risk over here coming into the Muncie area, with the complex over here to the right having the greatest risk for damaging winds within this storm. Okay, 10-4. So Ryan has to get ready for some other work here today, so I'll be back here taking over for him. Well, he covered for me while I had to take shelter earlier here this morning. But the strongest portion of the line is currently stretching from just east of Muncie up to Fort Recovery, Ohio. This big bow echo here, this is the most intense portion of the line, and that's going to be moving into Mercer County and Darke County, Ohio. Areas to the west here, under a severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds, although I think the winds are a little bit stronger in the complex over here to the east. Looking at, go ahead and switch radars here, look at Indianapolis here. I don't see a whole lot in the Gaston, Alexandria area, but there could be a few embedded gusts up to 60 miles per hour. We do have that radar indicated tornado warning still in effect. Maybe a little bit of rotation still trying to hang on here. What that is moving into Darke County, Ohio. And depending which radar we use here, it may already be in Ohio. It's kind of hard to tell. We're kind of in between radars within this location here, perhaps maybe a little bit near the Salamone area, still hanging on. Kind of hard to tell. Tornado warning remains in effect there for 32 more minutes. And that is radar indicated. We did have a funnel cloud report by emergency management outside of Portland earlier. As that storm moved over. If you guys have any storm reports here from this morning, feel free to send that in to us and report that time, event, location, where it occurred, and when it occurred to the best of your ability. If you guys have any hail reports, feel free to send that in to us as well, preferably with like a fixed reference, such as a coin or at least something of a fixed size to help us determine the size and diameter of that hailstone. Something else to note here, we have an outflow boundary from Cicero, Sheridan, Kirkland, and Frankfort draped across the region here. So perhaps maybe a roll cloud or a shelf cloud moving in of some rain cooled air. But right now, the strongest portion of the storm is going to be from Muncie to Fort Recovery. A little bit of rotation still showing up near the Fort Recovery area. Hard to tell if that is still some rotation, some back building rotation. The original rotation was down here near the Salamonia area a few minutes ago, which moved into Dark County, but we could have some back building rotation near Fort Recovery right in here. State Road 26, as well as 200 South, and extreme portions of Southeast Jay County. That'll be moving over a state line here very, very soon. Turning on our debris tracker there just to make sure there's nothing on the ground. I don't see any indications of anything there. That is some good news. But it's kind of a kind of a bookend vortex a little bit, kind of a back end feature there. Kind of see that backward comma head up in here. A little bit of what we call kind of an MCV kind of developing here, which is a mesoscale convective vortex. Basically, big strong thunderstorms naturally produce an area of low pressure. At the surface, at about 10,000 feet aloft, you get these a little bit of areas of spin. That's natural. It's just its own weather system, essentially, and that helps progress the storm and move it forward as well. So that's called an MCV a little bit there. That can also enhance damaging winds there on the south side from Union City to Winchester as well. So something to keep an eye on there. And you can actually kind of see it develop here if we play it back. If you watch this area right up in here, kind of curl back in on itself as it becomes a little bit more organized. I can kind of draw it out here to help you see it. So an area of low pressure sitting kind of like right in here, and then a little bit of a boundary right in here. So kind of the mesoscale feature of that storm there. Kind of interesting to see that. But the most intense portion of the storm is this leading edge from Winchester to Jay County, and this will be moving into Dark County and Mercer County right now. Salina getting in on some heavy rain as well. Damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour moving into Winchester and Union City. Back here further west, I'm not overly concerned with this line at the moment coming into the gas. Hmm. Yeah, it's still coming through on Discord. Yeah, I don't test. I know. Test. All right, sound is back. Got it now. Not really sure what happened there. Audio showed that it was coming through on my end, but that was yeah. Don't really know what happened there. Maybe that was just a system error there. Not really sure. Not 100% sure what happened there. Sorry about that, guys. If audio cut out. What we were saying there before audio cut out, I'm not exactly sure where I left off at, but we'll jump right back into it. The strongest portion of line is currently east of Muncie from Winchester to Fort Recovery, Ohio, and is currently moving out of Indiana. This western portion of the line from Alexandria to Muncie, under a severe thunderstorm warning, looks a little bit less impressive as the complex over here to the east. Notice how it has a little bit of a different angle to it as well. A little bit more of a pronounced bow echo here from Winchester to Fort Recovery, and a little bit more linear left to right over here from Alexandria to Muncie. Looking at our wind associated with this, go ahead and turning that back on. Our strongest wind is actually showing there on that eastern complex from Winchester to Fort Recovery. Not seeing a lot of wind here on radar from Alexandria to Gaston. So if you're watching in this area, let me know what your winds are doing. I'd be curious to know what you guys see going on there. New severe thunderstorm warning coming in for areas downstream here. But the strongest portion of the line is going to be on this eastern portion here from Winchester to Fort Recovery. Decent signatures showing from Fort Recovery to Union City as the strongest portion of the line. Also an outflow boundary here from Anderson to Fishers as well. So that's also pushing some rain cooled air south ahead of this line. But that may also spark some additional thunderstorms as well, something to keep an eye on. We also have I guess we do have a wind report out of Muncie, Indiana. That's a public report, so I take those kind of with a grain of salt. 59 miles per hour there. New severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour observed. So they are counting that as an observed tag. So it looks like we do have that. And it looks like they're going to issue a downstream severe thunderstorm watch. Or actually, that's for Northwest Indiana, popping up on our screen here. This is for round 2 coming later today. And that's for this complex developing here in Iowa, coming into northern Illinois. So this is round 2. Round 1 is occurring now, and round 2 will be moving in later this afternoon. But how strong it'll be when it gets to northern Indiana, yet to be determined. It'll be determined by how the atmosphere recovers from this round moving through right now. Are we going to be able to destabilize and get that instability back that was lost here this morning with these morning storms? So a little bit of uncertainty there, but the atmosphere is capable of it if we can get that destabilization to occur once again. But we do have a new severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time for northwestern Indiana. It does have a high 60-plus mile per hour, 90% chance for 60-plus mile per hour winds, and then a moderate 60% for 75 significant winds as well for this complex currently over in Iowa. Plenty of time to watch that as it moves into Indiana. So northwest Indiana under a severe thunderstorm watch until 3 p.m. Central Time. Downstream extensions would be possible if that line holds together as it moves into Indiana, assuming it does so early mid-afternoon for the arrival time for that round 2. But we do have 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail from Alexandria to Winchester, moving south at around 40 miles per hour. We do have sporadic reports of damage, according reports coming in from across northern Indiana, northeast Indiana. So do watch out for for any debris, but also some flooding in east central Indiana as well. Rainfall rates of 2 inches per hour occurring. The good news is with this line, at least the forward motion of this line, were picking up speed a little bit. It was really slow from Ossian, Huntington, Rochester, Indiana, over to Pulaski County earlier this morning when it was just kind of kind of just a glob of rain that was just kind of meandering around, wasn't fully organized yet. But that is now picking up speed as it's a little more organized, has an MCV, a rear inflow jet, which is some stronger winds aloft, kind of pushing this thing forward. So that's going to help keep it moving, which will help with the flood risk. However, 40 miles per hour is still 40 miles per hour. It's not overly fast. It's not 50. It's not 60. So it is moving relatively slow. So we do have to contend for those torrential rainfall rates. Give the street drains a little bit extra time to shed that water. Depending on how your berming is along the roadways, if it's a little bit higher or a shallow berm, your roadway may hold water a little bit longer as well. So do give it some extra time on your morning commute here from Alexandria to Winchester, Indiana, even areas further north, Hartford City, Portland, or even perhaps Wells, Huntington County, where we had rainfall rates of 2 inches per hour and even some radar estimated totals of 2 to 3 inches of rain. There may still be some residual ponding on area roadways, especially rural areas, low-lying areas. So do take your time here this morning and watch for any water. But if you're north of this line, if you're in the Jay County, Indiana, Grant County, Hartford City, you guys are in the clear for severe weather. Just some heavier thunderstorms from Miami County, Southern Wabash County, up to Pulaski County. A lot of lightning in here, but currently not severe at the moment. But they are moving over similar areas, so do watch out for flooding associated with those. Greater severe risk down here to the south, coming into the Anderson, Newcastle, Winchester getting hit now. Lynn, Indiana, you're on deck, likely having a shelf cloud move over right about now and seeing those winds pick up to 60 miles per hour. We do have a few reports of 60 mile per hour winds being measured. We had a public report out here in Muncie on a AZO station, it looked like, so that looks like an official report there. 60 mile per hour winds observed on this warning here coming into Anderson. Turning on our velocity here to look at the winds associated with that. Strong winds over the Muncie area right now. We are in between radars, so a little bit hard to judge exactly where the pockets of most intense winds are, but a nice outflow boundary. Something to note from Yorktown, Anderson, Lapel, even in the Sheridan area, had a gust front come through, maybe even a shelf cloud or even a roll cloud in this area possible as that outflow boundary, that's rain-cooled air getting pushed south and ahead of these storms. And these storms are going to set the stage for round 2 later today. Depending on how the atmosphere recovers behind these storms will determine ultimately the severity of round 2 moving in later today. Are we going to have a significant storm complex move through, or is it going to weaken because we don't have the instability? That's yet to be determined. Right now, a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk is still in place here for this afternoon across much of central and northern Indiana. And in fact, there's not a place in Indiana that is not currently in a severe risk here today. So remain weather aware today. This is round 1 of 2 that we'll be keeping an eye on here today. Strongest storms coming into the Richmond, Anderson, and Newcastle areas. These storms are currently moving south at about 40 miles per hour. They are picking up speed a little bit too, maybe closer to that 45 mile per hour range, especially on the leading edge of this gust front, which is exiting Indiana, coming into the Greenville, Ohio area there in Darke County. That'll be something to watch there. Muncie getting ready to get hit by some very heavy rain here. Also some hail, perhaps up to quarter size possible. We turn on our hail tracker here. Not a significant updrafts showing here, but there are some sporadic kind of pulse updrafts. You see those purples kind of come and go along the leading edge. So there's embedded pockets of some small hail. Hard to say if there's quarters for sure falling there, but at least some dimes, perhaps up to embedded, pockets of quarter size hail can't be ruled out, as well as 60 mile per hour winds along the leading edge here. But this is round 1 of 2 for today. And it looks like we actually have a new report coming in out of Bluffton, maybe lightning or a power line down, but we have a utility fire Looks like on East South and Poplar Streets there in Bluffton, it looks like a transformer got hit. Possible lightning fire going on there in Bluffton. That was from earlier here this morning around 8 o'clock. So, lightning does not make a storm severe, but it can be dangerous. It can cause fires, it can cause damage. So, do watch out for the lightning here this morning. Looks like there was a utility fire in Bluffton earlier this morning around 8 o'clock. Some reports coming in there behind the scenes. So do watch out for the lightning. A lot of lightning in these storms. Cloud to ground lightning, while not making a storm severe, is a hazard when thunder roars go indoors. Current warnings are from Anderson to Newcastle. Looks like we have a 50-mile-per-hour gust, 55 a mile per hour there. Wind report in Anderson. So these storms are pretty close to severe criteria, if not perhaps gusting to severe criteria for the western flank here. We'll have to see if we get a downstream warning for Richmond or not. Currently, Richmond not in a severe thunderstorm warning, but areas north are currently under that severe thunderstorm warning. The strongest portion of the line is going to be moving into Ohio, and all of this rain will move into Ohio over the next hour here before round 2 moves in here later this afternoon. If you guys have any storm reports, feel free to submit that to us. You guys can send it in to us in Indiana Weather Network or comment on one of our forecasting posts or update posts on our page as well. If you guys do have any reports or damage reports you want to submit to us, time, event, location, when reporting those reports, where it occurred, the time it occurred, and what occurred. Was it straight line winds? Was it hail? Just let us know to the best of your ability there. That helps us out immensely and also helps NWS out if we need to submit something to them as well. Locations are important for us to know which office to send it to, whether it's Northern Indiana or Indianapolis, or perhaps Wilmington as well. So do let us know locations for that matter. We do have some power outages showing up here across the state for these storms. New severe thunderstorm warning coming in for Union and Wayne County. So it looks like that will include Richmond, now getting under a severe thunderstorm warning. This is be issued by the National Weather Service in Wilmington for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That includes this area down in here. You'll see that polygon fill in here momentarily, but a new severe thunderstorm warning moving in. There we go. Large severe thunderstorm warning from Dayton to Connorsville along I-70, 60-mile-per-hour winds, penny-sized hail. So they are thinking the hail is below quarter size, which I would have to agree with them based on VIL, based on our updrafts along the leading edge. Not overly surprised to see that, as these squall lines are not known to be big hail producers. That's more reserved for your isolated storms. No, they're on. Like, I have sound coming through Discord right now. You'll say they're at 100% this morning. We have maybe 30 minutes left anyway before these storms move out. We don't have much time left here anyway. Sounds like I have audio back. Everyone's saying they can hear me now. Not sure. Yeah, that's what I was looking there. I think it's just a connectivity issue. I still have a lot of cloud cover and rain in the area. Maybe that's interfering with Starlink. I'm not sure. I don't know if that would have anything to do with audio, though. If you're good with hosting here for the next 15 minutes, an internet issue or just something internal with our software. I'm not really sure exactly what's going on. It's out again? Okay, it sounds like we're good now. Sounds like Ryan figured it out. What is going on? Sounds like there was a missing link in connection, and sounds like we got it connected. So I think we got it. So we'll continue here trying to finish the stream here before we prepare for round two and forecast that here later this afternoon. All right. Well, good deal. Hopefully we're good here. No more technical difficulties. Knock on wood, right? All right. These storms will eventually move into Ohio, probably here within the next 30 minutes or so. We're getting close to ending our stream here once these storms move into Ohio. Currently 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as penny-size hail. So wind is the primary hazard here. We do have sporadic reports of 50 to 60 miles per hour. Looking back on our relative velocity here for wind, you can see the gust front here coming into Greenville as well as Modoc, Lynn, just north of Richmond, coming close to I-70 here south of Muncie. So we are looking at mainly a wind threat here. Could be some small hail, perhaps pea to dime size, up to pennies. But I don't think widespread quarter-size hail is occurring. Looking at our updrafts here behind the scenes, but winds to 50 to 60 miles per hour are going to be the primary hazards here from here on out with these storms. I don't see any rotation either within these storms. That is some good news there. We also have a large outflow boundary along and south of the storm from Newcastle to Fishers, Indiana. So you could have some gusty winds from Fishers over to Lebanon, Indiana. A little bit of an outflow boundary there, some rain cooled air associated with these storms getting pushed out ahead into the southwest. So often, if you're in Wilkinson, Indiana, likely going to see the wind before you're going to see the rain here if you're on the western flank of this line. These storms are moving off to the south and southeast at 50 miles per hour. Be coming into Richmond here probably in the next 5 to 10, about 10 minutes or so for the winds there if you're in Richmond as well as Cambridge City. Gust front sitting right in here from New Madison along 35 to Newcastle is where that shelf cloud is currently, that outflow boundary, that rain-cooled air that is protruding south and ahead of our complex of storms. We also have a new severe thunderstorm watch for northwest Indiana. That is kind of weird. I'm not sure. I might just be a software thing there because it was in effect until 3 o'clock Central Time for northwest Indiana. That's kind of weird. And they're issuing a new severe thunderstorm watch for areas downstream, now under a severe thunderstorm watch ahead of our complex. The Storm Prediction Center was highlighting this area as a watch possible. They're just monitoring how organized these storms are going to be and how they were going to persist. So they're thinking these storms are going to persist into Ohio in the Cincinnati area as well. So the severe weather risk looks to continue into Ohio here. It does include the Rushville and Laura area as well, down to Ohio and Switzerland counties under a severe thunderstorm watch until 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The watch will likely get trimmed back after the storm moves through as well. I'll kind of toggle the watches off just to make it a little more cleaner here on stream. Forward motion is south at 50 miles per hour. Hazard 60-mile-per-hour wind gust associated with this line. We do have a few storm reports of 50 to 60-mile-per-hour winds. Currently, radar indicated as well, 60-mile-per-hour winds, penny-size hail. Nice outflow boundary move through Newcastle. Coming into Wilkinson right now, coming up along I-70, likely probably a nice shelf cloud along the leading edge of this line as well. We've had lots of shelf cloud reports associated with these storms moving south. Looking back up here to the north, have some storms from the Winnemac area to Peru, central Miami County. Mainly just heavy rain and some lightning there associated with those. Our only severe storms are the southern bow echo here, and these will move south and southeast into Ohio, probably here within the next 30, 40 minutes or so. Be moving into Ohio. The gust front probably coming into Richmond here momentarily, probably here in the next, really any minute here. Probably see that shelf cloud move again. Coming up pretty close to I-70 right now. It's kind of where the leading edge of that rain is. Heaviest rain currently from Lynn to Muncie to Modoc over to Greenville, Ohio. Winds up to 60 miles per hour, as well as penny-size hail. This is round 1 of 2 today. We do have a potential another round of severe weather later this afternoon. That'd be for this kind of complex across northern Illinois, northern Iowa right now. Depending on how the atmosphere recovers from round 1 will determine how strong that complex is as it moves into Indiana later today. This is kind of a fluid event. It's an evolving event. So the events that are happening now will affect events later today. And that's something we'll have to iron out in our forecast packaging today. We do have our severe weather outlook issued on IWN, Indian Weather Network, kind of highlighting some of that uncertainty. So forecast updates and revisions are expected today, but all of Indiana is under at least some sort of severe risk here today. But that may change or deviate depending on how the environment evolves today. And a new severe thunderstorm warning coming in for Logansport, 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail. That is a new severe thunderstorm warning issued by the National Weather Service in northern Indiana. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, quarter-size hail. That is for Cass County in north central Indiana until 9:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So perhaps a little bit stronger storms there than what we were assuming there on radar. No new storm reports coming in at the moment. The strongest portion of the line is in east central Indiana from Anderson, area south of Winchester, basically from New Madison, Ohio to Anderson, Indiana, along US 36 here. And this will be pushing into Richmond, Cambridge City, and Newcastle, all under a severe thunderstorm warning, 60-mile-per-hour winds, as well as penny-size hail. Maybe a few larger hailstones over here near the Anderson area. That is warned for quarter-size hail as well. Also watching a new warning coming in for Cass County, Indiana, including Logansport and Royal Center. Just outside of Walton, if you're on the north side of Walton, you're under that severe thunderstorm warning. We'll go ahead and put Walton in it. 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail, and that is for this storm up here. This storm's moving fairly slow as well, only moving more east. Kind of surprised that the warning goes so far south, as it's moving kind of more southeast at 25 miles per hour. So this storm is crawling up there across northwest Indiana. Looking at our winds associated with it, There's some pockets of winds there, kind of in the core of that storm. Could be some hail in there as well. Turning back here to Indianapolis, their radar here looking at the winds in here. Kind of hard to tell definitively how strong these winds are. Velocity is a little bit distorted down here, often the case with morning temperature inversions. Kind of hard to see that. But there are some pockets of brighter winds, especially coming up there in the Mercer, Darke County, Ohio, perhaps Auglaize County as well. Looking over here in the Newcastle, Wilkinson area, kind of an extended outflow boundary extending along I-70 here from Greenfield to Cambridge City. So could have a gust front coming through before the rain if you're ahead of this from Cambridge City over to Greenfield, Indiana. Going back to reflectivity here, our strongest portion of the storms are starting to move into Ohio, which is some good news. We still have a western flank to watch from Anderson County to Richmond, Indiana, as well as Logansport, Indiana, up in Cass County, 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail. A lot of lightning associated with these storms as well. Also watching a little bit of an outflow boundary here, stretching from Thorntown, Lebanon, over to the Fishers area. See that little green line there? Maybe a little bit of a gust front there, or even a shelf cloud, or even a roll cloud, perhaps in this area too. Have to let us know what you see there. Maybe a little bit of some rain, cold air moving through the area. That's associated with these thunderstorms. Probably no rain, maybe a few sprinkles underneath of there, but for right now, these storms are moving south at about 45 to 50 miles per hour. 60-mile-per-hour winds are going to be the primary hazard here with these storms as they continue moving into Ohio. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 2 p.m. now for areas along and south of this line. Basically from Muncie, Indiana, all the way down to Ohio, Dearborn, Ripley County, as well as Ohio and Switzerland under that severe thunderstorm watch. Northwest Indiana under a severe thunderstorm watch until 3 p.m. Central Time. And that is for round 2 later this afternoon. How strong round 2 will be as it moves into Indiana, yet to be determined. It determines on how well we can destabilize the atmosphere in Indiana from round 1. Round 1 has worked it. We're stable across a good portion of northern Indiana right now. Can we destabilize and gain that instability back to support a stronger round 2? Yet to be determined. We'll have more forecast revisions on that later today based on how data will trend here this afternoon. So you hear the word atmospheric fluidity. This is a very fluid event and an ever-changing event as well. What happens now will affect storms later today, and how it affects storms later today is yet to be determined. So stay tuned, stay weather aware, and stay tuned to forecast updates today, as forecast updates are about a given today, as we may evolve and change our forecast depending on how storms trend later today. Heavy rain coming into the Newcastle area just to your north. Muncie, you're in the all clear. Still some heavy rain, some lightning going to linger for a little bit while longer for you. But the gust front coming in the Newcastle right about now. Also quite a bit of lightning just northwest of town. Winds up to 60 miles per hour for you. Anywhere in this complex of storms from Sydney, Ohio, over to Anderson, south of Anderson, southeast of I-69 along the I-70 corridor, winds up to 60 miles per hour, as well as penny-size hail. Also, we have some larger hailstones now occurring in the core of the storm. If you're in the Newcastle area, heads up. We have hailstones now up to $1.25. That's $half size hail. So a little bit larger than quarters now falling. If you're in the Mount Summit area in Middletown, you got hit with some hail there. This is observed 60 miles per hour, as well as observed $half size hail. Areas in pink and even the black here. That's the hail core associated with this. Turn this back here. That's going to come right into Mount Summit, as well as Moorland, Indiana, and just to the west of Blountsville. Heads up here. This is just south of Muncie, Indiana, north of Newcastle. We have $half size hail in 60 mile per hour winds. So a few larger hailstones in this kind of a pulse core here. Turning on our VIL. Whoops. Our updraft here. Yeah, you can see that nice little hail core right in here near Middletown. That'll be moving into the Mount Summit area, crossing State Road 3 here pretty soon in US 36.
That is $half size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. So that's currently our strongest storm right now in Indiana, is right here where we have that $half size hail, some larger hailstones mixing their way down to the ground south of Muncie, Indiana, just to the north of Newcastle. If you guys have any hail reports or damage reports, feel free to submit that to us. Time, event, location. And if you have any hail reports, try to have a fixed object next to those hailstones to give us a rough idea of how large those hailstones are with a fixed point of reference. Coins are fantastic for that, as we know the diameter of coins. Quarters are 1 inch diameter, and that is the baseline for a severe thunderstorm warning for hail. 58-mile-per-hour winds or a quarter-size hail or greater is the threshold for a severe thunderstorm. Springport, Indiana, Sulphur Springs, anywhere along US 36 here south of Muncie, getting hit with some torrential rainfall, as well as hail up to $half size in diameter. Anywhere in pink here, you can just kind of see that core continuing. The center of the core is going to come very close to the Springport area, Sulphur Springs, and Mount Summit. If you're on State Road 3 and US 36 south of Muncie, that's where we have a nice hail core developing there. That's currently the strongest storm here in Indiana. If it holds together, it'll be probably moving towards the Richmond, Indiana area as it moves towards Ohio. Back up here to the north, 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail. That's for Cass County. Turning on our relative velocity there. Look at the winds on that storm. A little bit of a gust front there along the leading edge. Turning on our hail tracker for that storm. More of a hail producer there on that one. Could have a downdraft in there as well. Winds up to 60. But a nice hail core near Royal Center, Lucraine. That'll be, or Lucraine, moving towards the Logansport area, State Road 25. Hail core still hanging on near the Mount Summit area, as well as Sulphur Springs and Springport, just south of Muncie, Indiana. Up to $half size, which is 1.25 inches in diameter. And we have a new severe thunderstorm warning coming in, or perhaps one just getting trimmed back. Looks like it was trimmed back. Winchester, Indiana, you guys are now in the clear. You guys are out of that severe thunderstorm warning, but heavy rain and some lightning will continue for some time for you guys. Do watch out for ponding on the roadways. We do have some flood reports coming in. This is from 7:26 this morning. Just for some street potting in Wabash earlier this morning. Hopefully the drains have shed that water by now. That was a little over an hour ago. But torrential rainfall is occurring with these storms, so do be mindful of that. Current motion is southeast at about 50 miles per hour for this line of storms near the Newcastle area, Cambridge City, and Richmond, Indiana. These storms are moving south-southeast 45 to 50 miles per hour. 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and quarter-size hail for most. Penny-size hail for Richmond. If you're in the Newcastle area, Mount Summit, hail size is up to 1.25 inches. That is $half size hail. So the next step up from quarter size, so a little bit larger than quarters, falling there from the Middletown area to Mount Summit, Indiana, along US 36, State Road 3. Shelf cloud in Connorsville, Indiana. Yeah, you actually think it's from the boundary. Yeah, there is an outflow boundary from about Abington. You can actually kind of see it here. A little bit of clutter, a little bit of line here extending out ahead of these storms. This is an outflow boundary. So likely having a shelf cloud, kind of an extended shelf cloud where you're going to have the straight line winds or some gusty winds come ahead of the rain. Some rain cooled air getting pushed out ahead of these storms on the western flank. Underneath this outflow boundary, kind of have an extended shelf cloud where you kind of get a unique view of what the underside or the backside of a shelf cloud looks like. Normally, that's obscured by rain. You can't see it, but you'll kind of see the term that we like to use as a whale's mouth, because it's kind of a curved feature on the backside of the shelf cloud. We see a lot of billowing motion, a lot of rolling motion as rain-cooled air is rushed underneath warm, unstable air going in above it. So it's kind of like a rolling pin. A lot of turbulence underneath of it. Kind of a unique view and kind of an awe-inspiring view as well underneath these whales' mouth. The humidity will go away as well. It'll feel great underneath of it, but just know rain and storms are not that far away. So you get that gust front coming through first, and the rain will come through a little while longer. Currently, the strongest storm is near the Newcastle, Indiana area, Mount Summit, Indiana, just south of Muncie. 60-mile-per-hour winds, as well as hail up to half-dollar size in diameter. That is 1.25 inches in diameter. Severe criteria is quarter size, 1 inch diameter, so we are exceeding that by a quarter of an inch. That is enough to do some damage that can cause some minor dents on vehicles and cause damage to crops, people, and animals left outside. So a good storm to take shelter and be mindful if you are on your morning commute here this morning in the Newcastle area. Also, watch out for flooding. There could be some ponding on area roadways as rainfall rates exceeding 1.75 inches up to 2 inches per hour possible here within these storms. Also have a severe thunderstorm warning for Cass County. Don't want to leave you guys out up here in Logansport. 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail. The core of the storm near 12 mile, just north of Logansport, moving to the southeast at about 20 miles per hour. I'm not sure exactly how south this storm will go, if it'll make it to Walton or if it'll pass just to your north. Same thing for Bunker Hill, but we'll have to keep an eye on that as it moves into central Miami County. Moving quite slow, only at about 20 to 25 miles per hour, associated with that boundary draped across central and northern Indiana. Current motion here is south-southeast at 50 miles per hour for these storms. These storms will eventually move into Ohio. We could have some residual training showers and thunderstorms across north central Indiana. These storms showing a little bit of intensity here in the Cass County area, just kind of meandering along. Some torrential rainfall ongoing as well if you're in central Miami County, as well as northeast Cass County, northern Cass County, getting hit on some torrential rainfall. You can kind of visually see this outflow boundary, just kind of where storms developed here this morning. And look at the amount of lightning that we had in these storms here this morning. This is from 7 o'clock this morning. The lightning was intense. A lot of us got an early wake-up call across north central Indiana. But this boundary is still here despite the bow echo moving further south. You can kind of see how it organized and really dove south. But you have some residual showers and thunderstorms developing along that boundary, which is still present across north central Indiana. From about southern Lake County over to southern Wabash County. And our storm complex over here in Illinois is expected to ride this boundary today. It's expected to curve south and move along this boundary. But how strong this complex will be when it moves in will be determined on atmospheric instability today. Are we going to be able to recover from these warning storms, which have kind of worked the atmosphere across central and northern Indiana? That's kind of yet to be determined. We don't really know exactly how strong this complex will be for round two. The potential is there to see 60-mile-per-hour winds, as well as the potential for 70-mile-per-hour winds in a few pockets. But exactly where and when and how strong, yet to be determined. The forecast today is a fluid forecast, meaning changes are likely today, depending on how the atmosphere evolves today. It's an ever-evolving situation, kind of an hour-by-hour time frame today as we look to see how the environment is evolving today. That'll be how the atmosphere recovers will determine how strong round two comes later, early this afternoon into mid-afternoon time frame. There's that hail report coming in from just south of Anderson for that hailstone report up to 1.25 inches. It's half-dollar size hail. This storm is moving off to the south and southeast, coming into Mount Summit right now in Newcastle, Indiana. Also have an outflow boundary on the south side, so likely having the gust front come through first with the rain coming through thereafter. Northern Rush County getting in on that outflow boundary. Probably has a shelf cloud coming through, just probably can be seen from Rushville and Morristown. In Shelby County, Rush County, you can probably see that shelf cloud to the north. With the rain likely going to pass to the northeast of you guys. Rush County, Northern Rush County may get in on some rain here, but it looks like the worst of it is going to pass off to your north towards Richmond, Indiana. Union County, Fayette County may get in on the action here. Northeast Rush County, we'll have to keep an eye on if you guys get included in that severe thunderstorm warning or not. All depends on how this storm tracks up here near Newcastle. If it's going to move more southeast or move more south, that'll be determined for you guys if Mays is included here in that severe thunderstorm warning or not. 60-mile-per-hour winds are the primary hazard here. Have had a few larger hailstone reports out of this cell here near Newcastle, between quarter and $half size up to $1.25 is what we're looking at there. But our storms are slowly making their way off to the south-southeast at 50 miles per hour. These storms picked up speed. We were crawling at about 20 miles per hour earlier this morning, around 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And now they're moving southeast at 50 miles per hour. 60-mile-per-hour winds are the primary hazard here within these storms, but a few larger hailstones can be ruled out. And this cell coming into the Newcastle area has a history of producing some hailstones larger than quarter size. And that's coming into the State Road 3 US 36 interchange there at Mount Summit. And that'll move pretty close to the Newcastle area in Millville, Indiana area. Hagertown heads up, could get some larger hailstones, perhaps up to quarter size, maybe a little bit larger if this storm holds together, moving southeast at 50 miles per hour. Yeah, Indianapolis likely have a shelf cloud coming in on the north side of town. Outflow boundary moving across. See some comments getting very dark in Indianapolis. It's from this outflow boundary draped across the region. In fact, zooming in, you can kind of see a green line stretching across from Brownsburg over the Windale, Warren Park, Cumberland. This is an outflow boundary, so may have some gusty winds come through, but that's really about it. No rain headed towards Indianapolis proper, but you do have an outflow boundary, so maybe a shelf cloud or even a roll cloud moving through the region can't be ruled out associated with that outflow boundary. Kind of a unique feature there, but the rain is off to the east, southeast of Pendleton, north of Greenfield, and that's going to continue moving southeast towards Ohio. So torrential rainfall, winds to 60 miles per hour, primary hazards, and can't rule out. Excuse me. I've been up since 3 a.m. this morning watching radar, so excuse me. The storms are currently moving southeast at 50 miles per hour, 60 mile per hour wind gusts, as well as quarter-size hail. If you're in the Richmond area, these warnings are warned for penny-size hail. Had a few larger hailstones reported for the Newcastle area. The good news is it looks like our updraft had weakened just a little bit on this storm. And you can kind of see that by our updraft strength. It was quite strong in the Anderson area, where that inch and a quarter of where it came from. And you can see a little bit of a intensification there just northwest of Newcastle. Fast forwarding to now, that has weakened a little bit. I don't think we have $half size hail falling, but you could have a few hailstones, perhaps at the penny size, and maybe a few residual quarters still bouncing around that are making their way down to the ground via the updraft within that storm there. But hail is not a big story within these storms. It's going to be the winds associated with that. You can see this boundary stretch from Greenfield coming into Morristown, even into Rush County, coming into Shelby County. That's an outflow boundary, rain-cooled air getting pushed ahead and south of these storms. A lot of comments saying it's getting awfully dark in Indianapolis. Yeah, from that outflow boundary that's moving over downtown Indianapolis, you're going to feel the humidity go away. It's going to feel great, but that will not last. That relief is temporary. Humidity will return after that boundary moves out of here. And we do have rain and storm chances later today for Indianapolis. While you're not going to see much in the way of storms from round 1, they're off to your east this morning. Round 2, currently in Iowa, moving into Illinois, is expected to move into Indiana later this afternoon. Probably a similar track to what we saw here this morning. Exactly how strong round 2 will be is yet to be determined. The Storm Prediction Center does have an enhanced risk across much of Indiana today for the potential for damaging winds 60 to 70 miles per hour. If that line is able to meet its full potential moving into Indiana, it could be quite a widespread event. But again, that's going to be determined on how well can we destabilize the atmosphere in Indiana. After round one, storms this morning have worked the atmosphere. Round two is already developed. So there's not a big window to destabilize here in northern Indiana. So we're just going to have to see how things evolve here today along a stationary boundary draped across the region. That's going to be the highway that these storms will take, is this boundary. And you can visually see it here if I turn back the radar. Storms developing across north central Indiana earlier today. And you can kind of see how those storms are just moving along that same boundary from about Jay County over to southern Lake County. And that's the atmospheric highway that round two is going to travel along today. But how wide or how expansive it is yet to be determined. So stay tuned to forecast today. We'll have forecast updates on the page throughout the day as data becomes available, and we kind of see how trends evolve here today as well. So it's a very fluid event. You'll hear that term in summertime events a lot, atmospheric fluidity. The atmosphere is a fluid, just like a river or a stream where you have currents that move the water along. Air is a fluid and behaves as such. And because it's fluid, fluid can change a little bit. So, and that can also change or adjust forecast a little bit as well, depending on how things trend. So because of the fluidity of the forecast today, do expect some forecast changes or tweaks, depending on how we see trends here today, based on how things evolve. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning for Cass County, 60 mile per hour winds, quarter size hail. This storm, I don't think is going to make it to the Walton area. Looks like it's going to stay just to the north, hugging along US 24, going to come up on 31 and 24. So if you're in Mexico, Peru County, central Miami County, heads up. Could have a strong thunderstorm moving in your direction. It's crawling, though, moving east-southeast at about 25 miles per hour along that stationary boundary. And we may start to see maybe even a little bit of a weakening phase here on these storms here on the southern flank, getting a little bit more disorganized, but still kind of hanging on a little bit. May see some back building on these storms as well, something to watch. But 60 mile per hour winds are the primary hazards here. The good news is I think our hail size is a little bit less than $1.25 at the moment. The warning still has that on it. Looking at our updrafts, I think we're closer to penny size here near Kennard and I-70 here in Knightstown. We had a stronger updraft near Anderson where that 1.25 inch report that $half size hail was reported in Anderson, and saw a little bit of a re-intensification near the Middletown area. Fast forwarding that to now, not seeing a whole lot there that would support, at least in my opinion, hail up to 1.25 inch. I think we have weakened that updraft a little bit. There could still be some residual larger stones still aloft working their way down to the ground. Sometimes in these updrafts, they bounce around a little bit. It takes a while for them to come back down to the ground. But I think penny-size hail is more realistic there with some sporadic gusts of 50 to 60 miles per hour here. Seeing a little bit more in the way of some disorganization here a little bit. Not quite as intense looking as what we saw earlier this afternoon. Kind of fanning out a little bit and also becoming outflow dominant. This outflow boundary is also going to stabilize the air ahead of this. Instead of having the warm, unstable air right at the storm's fingertips, it's now falling behind because of that rain-cooled air is running ahead of the storm. That'll help hopefully weaken this storm a little bit as it moves into Ohio as well. So some good news there. Probably going to hop out of here soon. These storms are kind of showing the weakening phase a little bit as they move towards Ohio. We're seeing that outflow boundary push ahead of the storm. That's rain-cooled air. Probably going to hop out of here soon to get some forecast updates done here. We got a new flood advisory coming in for Cass County, Fulton County, Pulaski, Large, and Wabash County for all of these storms here. So Watch out for flooding there in the Miami County, Wabash County, Pulaski County, even perhaps, Jasper, Newton County, Lake County, also for that as well. Henry and Rush County now under a severe thunderstorm warning. So it looks like they did include Northeast Rush County in that severe thunderstorm warning. Not surprised to see that included there. See that polygon come in here pretty soon. We'll cover that here, and then we'll probably hop out of here as we need to get some forecast updates done today, and we need to get some forecast packages out for round 2 here later today. And they dropped the hail size down to 1/4 and 60-mile-per-hour winds. So we're at baseline severe criteria here. These storms will continue moving southeast at about 50 miles per hour before exiting Indiana. Residual storms possible across north central Indiana along a stationary boundary. Looking back out here at the Storm Prediction Center's outlook here today, we have a large enhanced risk, which is a level 3 out of 5 here, including Bloomington, Indianapolis, all the way to Fort Wayne, Indiana. About 2/3 of Indiana is in an enhanced risk here today. That's a level 3 out of 5. Damaging winds is the primary hazard here today. There's the look at the wind risk today. They're thinking damaging winds, 60 to 70 miles per hour are going to be the primary hazards here today. That's a 30% chance in the hatched area that you see that black outline with the little diagonal lines on it here that you see. Kind of hard to pick out there. That is a 30% chance within 25 miles of any given point of seeing a significant wind gust later today, and that's 70 miles per hour or greater. So while not an extremely high risk, not everyone's going to see 70-mile-per-hour winds. There is a chance that a few storms could have that risk here today, and that's associated with round 2. Tornado risk, not an extremely high risk. Areas in green have a low 2% chance within 25 miles of seeing a brief spin-up tornado along the leading edge. We don't think that's going to be a high risk today. Hail risk, not really a big concern here for Indiana today. In the upper Midwest, high plains, more of a hail threat up there today, but more of a damaging wind risk here today, as well as the possibility for a brief spin-up tornado along the leading edge. But round 2 is going to be conditional on how the atmosphere recovers across central and northern Indiana. The atmosphere has worked right now. We have a lot of cloud cover, a lot of rain that moved through the area. It's worked. There's not a lot of time between round 2 and round 1. These are kind of back-to-back complexes here. So it's a little bit uncertain how strong round 2 will be. The potential is there for widespread damaging winds, 60 to 70 miles per hour, but will it meet that full criteria or not? We're going to have to wait and see. There is some forecast uncertainty there, depending on how that storm evolves as it moves into Indiana and how the atmosphere can recover. So we're going to look at data here, look at some forecast models and guidance, and look at some mesoanalysis and try to get some of that information dialed down and get some forecasts out for you as well. So new severe thunderstorm warning coming in for central Cass County, southern Miami County, 1/4 and 60. So baseline warnings here. These will continue over the next hour or so as these storms slowly move into Ohio, with round 1 coming later this afternoon. So with that being said, probably going to hop out of here. And if we need to go live later today, we will certainly do that. Stay tuned to the page, stay tuned to forecast updates, and we will see you later this afternoon.